In today's video, I'm going to talk about sexing ducks. Wow, look at that hawk. Look at this hawk over here. Look at those guys. You better stay away from my birds. I see you circling there. So far, we haven't had trouble with aerial predators. Keep those fingers crossed. Ladies and gentlemen. Literally, I need to figure out who the ladies and the gentlemen are. The main reason we have our ducks is because we want duck eggs. Obviously, duck eggs only come from female ducks. When we bought our ducks, we bought what was known as a straight sex run. It means that the hatchery didn't determine who the males and who the females were. There's ways to, flip a duck upside down and squeeze them and figure out whether or not they're a male or a female, but I sort of missed my window when it was actually a good time to do it. So I don't actually know how many males and how many females we have. The plan has always been that we would keep all of the females, and with the males, we'd probably keep, a couple handy for creating future generations, but the rest of them would go off to the freezer. So the act of sexual reproduction amongst the ducks is pretty rough and tumble. The fellas have a pretty healthy appetite, and so you got to keep a certain ratio, or else if there's too many males to females in a flock, you can get some real violence. You can really injure some of the female ducks, and it's just not good for overall cohesiveness and a happy flock. When you have a grown duck, there's a couple different ways to tell the difference. Some of this varies from breed to breed. For the khaki Campbells though, some people say the color of the bill, some people say the color of the little bean at the tip of their bill, some people say the color of their feet, some people say it's some of the wing feather colors, some people say it's the difference between whether they quack or make a raspy noise. Probably the most surefire way of figuring out whether or not a duck is a male or a female is whether or not they get what's known as their sex feather. Wouldn't sex feather make an awesome name for a band? The sex feather is this little curly feather that pops up on the back of a duck once they hit a certain age. And I just noticed the other day that our ducks are starting to get their sex feather. So let me take you guys with me and show you what a sex feather actually looks like. All right. So now everybody's just had their morning meal. They've taken their baths, and now they're sort of doing some grooming. So this is actually a decent time to try to find it. I know, you're getting all worked up. Alright, this guy right here is a good example of a sex feather. I'm going to isolate you for a minute. See, he is unquestionably a drake. So you'll notice the color of his wings. Also notice he doesn't really quack. But I will say, if I'm going off of looking at how many ducks have similar coloring on their wings, we probably do have a fair amount of males in our flock. He's got both the sex feather and the coloring on his wings. But overall with our ducks, it's still probably too soon to tell who's male or who's female. There's this guy right here. He's the second duck with this showing sex feather. See him? He's kind of a heavy-set gentleman. That guy right there. You hear how some of them make sort of a rasp and some of them make a more traditional quack? I don't know if it's going to be later this month or early next month, but I'm hoping to get a better read on who the males and females are, start tagging them so I don't have to do this exercise every time. And then once I know that, I'll probably start separating them out, and I'll pick a day, have a couple friends over, and we're going to call. Now I know I've heard from a number of you saying, gosh, how can you do that? You had these guys when they were little fluffy balls of cuteness, and then you raised them all the way up to this, and now you're just gonna kill them. I mean, you think about like mass factory farming with you know, giant egg production. They do this horrible thing where they actually take a lot of the rooster chicks and they just kill them right out of the gate. I personally think that's awful. They're not even gonna get a shot to grow up. They're not even gonna get a shot to have some sort of life. These birds, I feel like, have had a great life. Living out on pasture, picking away at bugs, eating weeds, having feeding frenzies. The idea that now as they reach maturity, I'm going to use them for food, I feel like that sort of behavior is just what it means to be an ethical meat eater. I actually think as a society we'd be better off if we were all more hands-on with where our meat came from a little bit. But that's a little ways off. I still have to figure out who the males and females are. Unfortunately, just only a few of them are showing their sex feathers, so I don't have as good information as I might like. But yeah, we'll go from there.